पीजीसीआईएल को सर पोसोको से अलग किया गया था। मैं ये जानना चाहता हूं आपसे, इसके बैकग्राउंड में क्या चल रहा था? क्या रीजन था कि सेमी रेगुलेटर को पीजीसीआईएल से अलग किया गया? फर्स्ट थिंग, जो आपके थॉट्स हैं। एंड सेकेंड, 6 मार्च को डीमर्जर का एक नया नोटिफिकेशन आया है, जहां पे पीजीसीआईएल को डीमर्ज करा जा रहा है सीटीयू से, सेंट्रल ट्रांसमिशन यूटिलिटी इंडिया लिमिटेड. न्यू companies being created 1st April onwards. Then there will be two entities. One will be PGCIL, who will be deemed transmission licensee, and Central Transmission Utility India Limited will take up all the administrative function under Act, rule, regulations, and orders actually.
Now is the time where I call upon our guest for today, Mr. P.K.Agarwal ji. I take this privilege to introduce him to you. Mr. P.K.Agarwal ji has been a power system professional with over 39 years of experience, helping power industry in design and automation of electricity market integration and OT cyber security implementation. Sir has played key roles in development of electricity markets in India from its inception with availability-based tariff in 2002 and open access in 2008, followed by power exchange, day-ahead market, cross-border energy trading, and the recent launch of real-time market. Moreover, he has carried out complete life cycle management and integration of large-scale supervisory control and data acquisition systems. Not only that, Sir has also adopted and applied many innovative technologies like AGC, RRAS, SED, WAMS in power system operation improvement. With this, sir, the floor is all yours. Kindly throw some light on power market regulations for all our delegates.
So, namaskar to all. This really a privilege for me to be speaking in this energy dialogue and thanks to this Mr. Raj Niranjan for this opportunity. So, I told Ms. Shraddha that I will be talking on the power market regulations. But later I thought that because your is already expert in legal and regulations, so let me take this how this power market regulations or power market developed in India. Because I am seeing that there are participants with different background from power sector, from NTPC, from TIPC, and from legal and from other company also. So, because market is very important portion of total supply chain of electricity, because market creates the efficiency in production, efficiency in consumption. Because if demand is more than people try to reduce their consumption so that to be inconsistent with the market price. So that's why I thought that let us see how this market is evolved in India and what are the regulations, how the regulations evolve in India. So as far as electricity is concerned, electricity energy is the most fundamental raw material for any industry or any establishment. Because without electricity, even the house and even a small shop, a small establishment cannot work. So electricity is the most fundamental requirement, and I think in my view it is most fundamental right of each citizen of India, as right to energy is already being promulgated by TILA, and its supply involves transfer of electricity energy from generation to consumers. So this generation to consumer is the main thing, and every action in the power sector works around this. So it involves transfer of electric energy from generation to consumer via transmission and distribution network. So there are four things in the complete supply chain of electricity: is generation, transmission, distribution, and consumption. So consumers are very active part of power system. I think this 10 or 20 years before they were the inactive part, they were only the receiver. Now they are up to active part. And this all the elements of electric network, which is electric network known as power grid also. Power grid is the name of company also, but I am talking about the power grid, which is electricity grid. And they are tightly coupled. All the elements means transmission system, transformer, load, motor, generator. and all the elements are tightly integrated with each other, and so they are required to operate in coordinated way because they are running in synchronism. Tightly integrated means they are running in synchronism. So they require a coordinated operation, which is from a central place, which is called grid control room. And that grid control room should have all the visibility of electric energy flow on the power grid. Only then they can manage the grid, and it is in real time. And that's why this fourth element of electric supply chain, grid operator, came into existence. So it becomes generation, transmission, distribution, consumption, and grid operator. The whole purpose. Now, I will start with the grid operator and the market, how the market is evolved, why we need the market. The whole purpose of the grid operator is to maintain the balance of generation and load in the power grid, in the electric network, because when we are operating electric network in synchronism, maintaining or managing the balance, tight balance of generation and consumption, generation or load, or we can say that demand and supply is very, very important. And this is measured with the frequency. So in India, we have the frequency, national frequency is 50 hertz. In Europe also we have 50 hertz, but in America it is 60 hertz. So 50 hertz is the measurement of the balance. And if grid is running at 50 hertz, it means there is perfect balance between generation and demand. But this never happens in practice, because load is changing in the grid. Load create the simulation. Load is the main point which operates the grid, which creates the imbalance, and then generation has to follow the load. So if frequency is less than 50 hertz, it means load is more than generation is less. If it is more than 50 hertz, generation is more and load is less. So if it is deviation is more than some value, it may be 1 hertz or let us take 0.5 hertz. It means that grid becomes vulnerable to disturbance. So grid become insecure because generation ज़्यादा है, load कम है. When anything happens in load और ज़्यादा cause load trip हो जाता है because of there are many reasons. Load may trip, frequency factory में कुछ problem हो जाती है. Then generation will become even more, and it will create instability in the grid. So managing the balance is very, very important, and this is balancing is a reason which is a fundamental factor for power market. Market तो पहले भी है, because when you are generating and you are distributing electricity, you require to procure the electricity. So market है, but the main market which I really tells the market, because all other the long-term contract, long-term MOUs are there. But so this imbalancing is the fundamental. So this was a small introduction of electric grid and why this market is required. Now we see the pre-market era. So before 2000, there was no power market for electricity, and electricity was provided as a service to the citizens without any regard to the cost of production. So governments was providing electricity as a service to the grid, a service to the consumers, and it was operating on the budgetary support from the government rather than commercial principle, because it was not operating on commercial principles. So cost of electricity was not regarded in the fixing the price of electricity. So you may understand, I think these participants should understand the cost and price, difference between cost and price. So because of this, and there were political exploitation of this, the conditions of state utilities, because that time only generally the state utility was providing the electricity, and they were procuring electricity from, they were generating electricity, and then central sector came, NTPC came and NHPC came, then they were procuring electricity from central sector and then distributing electricity. So there was no commercial principles, and it was on the budgetary support from the state government. So generation and load one more thing that time, because so generators and load consumers were consuming or generating electricity at their will. So without regard to the frequency, and frequency was fluctuating in wide range. I remember then when I joined in '96, I was in control room of northern region. Frequency was going up to 98, 48 and less than 48 also. And luckily that time it was a deficit condition. So उस समय that time outage was also very high. Every day there was some outage, and so there was no regard to the security of the grid. And generators they're generally worried about their PLF, so they used to generate even then in the night. I remember that in the night 3 o'clock generally we were not having the demand and the frequency became high. Even then they were not willing to back down, because backing down means their PLF will deteriorate and they will have less incentive, they will have less cost of power, because whatever they are generating, states or consumer has to pay that. So this was the condition that time. Though, and the consumers were, many times consumers were deprived from the service of electricity. Though that time there was some efforts on privatization, and some private players also came, but it was not a market-based system. It was only a MOU-based system, and its production and consumption, there was not, it could not bring the efficiency in production, because this private power was always more costly. We have seen the Enron, and even I have heard that 19 rupees unit was also the contract value. So in 2000, regulators were appointed with the CRC came as a regulator of electricity market, a power system, and availability based tariff regulations came. So though generally people tells that Electricity Act 2003 started the market, but I always tell that this AVT regulation actually started the market. How? Because in availability based mechanism, a dynamic pricing of electricity was introduced. Because when before the AVT, whatever consumption you are drawing from the electricity and whatever generation, they are matched, and accordingly they are priced as per actual to the operator. But with the AVT, schedule system started, and day ahead schedule was made, and as per this schedule, generators and utilities has to follow the schedules. If there is deviations between schedule and actual in the real time, then that energy was priced at the frequency value. So you see this, how unique this mechanism was. Still it is there. This is a unique mechanism. It is unique to India. It is actually this invention by Indian. It is generally not available, but now some country are following this. Now suppose some utility or some state is drawing more and frequency is less. It means you have less supply and more demand. So cost of electricity will be high. The deviation, the cost of the deviation of electricity energy will be high. And if it is frequency is high and still you are overdrawing, then you may be paying even zero also, because after 51.5 cost of the deviation becomes zero. So this was the from consumption side. But now in supply side, supply is also culprit for frequencies, high frequency. If you are generating more and grid is at high frequency, it is more than 50, then they will get zero price. Though they are injecting in the grid, but they will not get the price of the deviation. So this mechanism becomes a self-disciplined mechanism, and there was very high improvement in the frequency of the grid. And frequency of the grid means security of the grid. So dynamic pricing was there of the imbalances only. I am talking not the all energy, not the full energy, is only the imbalance, is only the price, only the deviation of the energy from schedule. So this was the start of power market in India, because it instigated utilities and generators to plan their systems, to plan their generation, to plan their load, so that they avoid the deviations in the actual and schedule. And they were also making a part of ARR. So this unscheduled interchange become the part of their ARR or their budget. So, and in NTPC and generators, this UI becomes a performance of the plant operator. Then in 2003, Electricity Act came, and the provision of open access in transmission was a fundamental in introduction of power markets in India. Because before 2003, the consumer, which is situated in a state government, they have to purchase power from that utility only. But with the open access, it enabled them to purchase power from outside the utilities. So now they are out of the monopoly of that utility, and I will tell you the example of Jindal strip in Hisar, because Jindal strip was also having a plant in Raigad, and they were paying about 5 to 6 rupees to Haryana for their consumption of electricity, because they have furnace induction furnace, and high consumption of electricity was there. So they started bringing their power from their own plant, and it was costing only 2 rupees. So net saving of 3 rupees. So this started power market, and with this, electricity was converted from service to commodity. So commoditization of electricity took place, and electricity price started to relate with the cost of production, because when it becomes a commodity, so pricing is being done with the cost of production, demand and supply, like a normal commodity. But there is a big difference between this commodity and the other commodity, which is the time value of electricity. And time value means electricity must be consumed at the moment it is produced. So if you are not able to sell the electricity at any time, it means it is a loss of production. So time value is also there, unlike other commodity, and we can say that it is highly perishable. So it is, if it is not consumed at the moment it is produced, or if you don't have the consumption when you are producing, you cannot sell off your electricity, and it becomes. And then again in 2004, open access regulations came, because that Electricity Act was the enabling part, and in CRC in 2004 came up with the open access regulations, and then electricity traders came into existence. And open access enabled the producers or consumers to sell or purchase of electricity from the area out of their licensed entity by requesting space on transmission network. So that requirement of space on transmission network was a very important part of that open access. Actually, this open access regulation means it is open access in transmission. This complete, if you see the name of regulation, it is open access in transmission. So because transmission is a monopoly business, monopoly not by and because of single entity, but because of the economy of sharing, like a road network. If you have road already there, then you will like to use the same road for your travel. You will not construct the separate road. So this, in the same way, if transmission line is existing and somebody has made a transmission line, it will be more economic to share that transmission system and share the cost of that, rather than creating your own transmission network. So open access enabled this use of existing transmission network, and electricity started trading bilaterally. So that time is only bilateral trading was there. So it was through negotiation or through tendering process. So price discovery was individual to each bilateral contract. But again in 2008, power exchange came into existence. CRC created enabled regulations, and power exchange came into existence, where producers and consumers submit their offers and bids to the power exchange, and then power exchange do the price discovery with the collective wisdom of consumers and producers. So now this become actual market. So when price is discovered based upon the bid to purchase and offer to sale, then it becomes actual market. And power exchange works on the social welfare principle. It is a single price discovery. If you, even if you are willing to purchase at higher rate and price discover is less, you have to pay only lesser rate, and then the difference between your billing rate and actual discovered rate becomes your surplus. And power exchange started with the day market only at that time, and we have two power exchange, and which is again unique to India, because in Europe and everywhere we have a single power exchange, but here we have two power exchange. Then after the power exchange, there was the first power market regulations in 2010 by CRC, which formalized these power markets in India. And there are other products like term ahead market, intraday, contingency, green term ahead market contracts are introduced, and increasing the ambit of power exchange, power market in India. And the purpose of different products was to enable producers and consumers to give them more options in balancing their portfolios of generation and consumption, and are having more and more options, more and products in the power market. And in 2020, real-time market came into existence, and this enabled the utility to sell purchase even up to 1 hour before the time of dispatch of power. It enabled them. It also helped in integration of renewables, because when you are forecasting the generation from renewables, accuracy depends upon how far you are from the actual generation. So if it is 1 day, then it may have less accuracy, but if it is near to time of dispatch, it becomes more accurate. So that adjustment, RTM allowed the adjustment in the portfolios. And then latest regulations came in power market regulation 2021. In January, CRC came with power market regulation 2021 in January and superseding the earlier one. There are many significant provisions in these regulations which will deepen the electricity market in India. At present, is only 14% of electricity energy on daily basis is being transacted in electricity market. Rest energy is long-term contracted, like PPA. So this will enable to come out the consumers or producer from the clutches of PPA. I tells it clutches of PPA, because once you have done PPA, it is valid for 25 years, and then you have to bear with that PPA, and you cannot optimize your production or consumption. So there are many significant provisions, but I will like to discuss two provisions of power market regulation 2021. One is the OTC platform, and the second is the market coupling operator. They are the two worth mentioning here. So OTC platform is the over-the-counter trading, though we can bilateral trade, we can also tell it that it is a OTC market, but platform is the CRC has mandated to create a platform like power exchange, where consumers and producers can do the bilateral trading. So they will have the bids for offer for sale and bid for, and then that will be done. So this will enable access of market to the small consumers, because power exchange assessing is costly. They have to have the membership from the power exchange, which is costly, and then small consumers is difficult for power exchange. Then it will enable them to have the access to the market. OTC will enable them. And so small consumers like small producers from renewable energy will also have the market, and then there will be incentives for merchant capacity in the renewable energy, because presently we don't have merchant capacity in renewable energy. Then it will enable them. And second is a market coupling operator. Because of two power exchange, it is unique to India, but because of two power exchange, multiple power exchange, some inefficiency is is occurring in a utilization of transmission corridors, because we have limited transmission corridor between different regional energies, regional areas. So that because of two power exchange, this transmission corridors is to be distributed between these two power exchange, and it creates some inefficiencies. So what market coupling operator will do, it will consolidate bids and offers from both the power exchange and do the single price discovery. So दो power exchange में क्या होता है कि because one may be at lower price discovery and other may have higher cost of electricity on the same day, so this becomes an inefficiency in the power market also. With the market coupling operator, there will be a single price discovery, and it will also pay for commercial efficiency in the grid operations, like ancillary services, procurement of transmission loss, commercialization of in-kind services like reactive power, ramping capability. When this there is single price discovery, so all this market will come, and then flexibility market will also come, like ramping capability, start and stop time capability, reactive power. All this will market coupling operator will pave the way for all these different type of market. With this power market regulation 2021, it has created a roadmap of power markets in India. So I will conclude my talk on this power market. So currently there is only 12 to 14% of daily electricity energy comes through the market, and rest is comes through the PPA, which is long term. So like if plant is costly, and even when utility is not drawing any electricity from a plant which he is under PPA, then even the utility has to bear the cost of fixed cost. So that becomes a burden on electricity on utility, and optimization is not taking place. So government is already doing taking many initiatives for deepening the market in India. Deepening the market means more power should be transacted through the market. So like 90% being transacted through PPA. So at least it should come about 50 to 60% should be only in through PPA, and at least 40% should come to the market. So like MBD, ancillary, market-based ancillary, there are many initiatives being created by Government of India. And the last thing I want to mention, that evolution of Indian power market is in very natural way. So because market entirely depends on the behavior of people. If I think that market will go up, other may think that market will go down. That is the reason of selling by one person and purchasing by other person. So this has evolved in very natural way as opposed to the government directed way. So I think this is my view, that we will have more efficiency in the future. Thank you very much. If I have any questions there, I can take up that question.
Thank you, sir. That was, indeed in detail discussion on power market regulation, and we are all happy and privileged to be listening this from you. Now I open the floor for the delegates. Do we have any questions to pose?
Shraddha, may I ask one question?
Yes, sir, please.
Sir, actually, you have been, inspiration for all of us, because वो एक आपने डायग्राम जो बनाया था पावर सेक्टर का, it was super actually, and I would ask Shraddha to share it in the WhatsApp group of the participant. So जो I remember in 2003 I created one diagram of power sector which I have showed you, and a lot of reports of very big consultancy firm, they have just adopted it. But the best diagram of power sector has been made by Shri P.K.Agarwal ji, and we will share you in the WhatsApp group. It explains the entire power market, how it works in India. But besides this, sir, you have worked in POSOCO, you have worked in PGCIL. I have specific question which last time one of our participants was also asking, and it would be great that if you answer that question. First is that PGCIL को sir POSOCO से अलग PGCIL और POSOCO को अलग किया गया था. मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ आपसे इसके बैकग्राउंड में क्या चल रहा था, क्या रीजन था कि सेमी रेगुलेटर को पीजीसीआईएल से अलग किया गया? फर्स्ट थिंग जो आपके थॉट्स है। एंड सेकेंड, 6 मार्च को डीमर्जर का एक नया नोटिफिकेशन आया है जहां पे पीजीसीआईएल को डीमर्ज करा जा रहा है सीटीयू से, सेंट्रल ट्रांसमिशन यूटिलिटी इंडिया लिमिटेड, न्यू कंपनीज बीइंग क्रिएटेड from 1st April onwards. Then there will be two entities. One will be PGCIL, who will be deemed transmission licensee, and Central Transmission Utility India Limited will take up all the administrative function under Act, rule, regulations, and orders actually. So this was the question was from Mr. Tushar Kumar, who is General Manager in I think तुषार जी आपको कुछ ऐड करना है तो आप ऐड कर दीजिए, बिकॉज नो वन बेस्ट कैन एक्सप्लेन दिस देन मिस्टर पीके अग्रवाल जी। जी गो अहेड।
गुड आफ्टरनून सर। सर आपने बहुत अच्छे से वो क्वेश्चन को सर को बताया है सर, एंड आई वांट टू हियर फ्रॉम सर, आई वांट टू टेक बेनिफिट फ्रॉम सर, फ्रॉम हिज एक्सपीरियंस, एंड आई हैव आल्सो सीन दैट डायग्राम व्हिच जो सर का डायग्राम है वो सोशल मीडिया पे कहीं और भी मैंने देखा है, एंड दैट इज रियली, मतलब इट इज in one slide it is entire power sector of India. That was really, that is really very, very good.
Thank you very much for appreciating my efforts. My retirement के बाद I become free from mind and free from work also. And my habit is not to sit free. So I started doing this power market and speaking and I was making something, I don't remember, for a lecture. So and let me share with you that I learned Adobe Illustrator for making this diagram, because when I started in making these diagrams in PowerPoint, generally I was doing when I was in service, I was not having so much control on that. So I thought that let us learn this Adobe Illustrator, and I read it, and making for that presentation I was doing something, and slowly within that about 15 days I got this idea, and why not to create complete, I don't know which diagram you are, but I am assuming that you are referring the diagram on electricity governance in India. Is the same, because I have shared other diagrams also.
Correct sir, correct, that is the diagram.
Yeah, sharing on LinkedIn. So when I was creating this diagram, and daily I was doing some work on this, and my children started asking me कि ये आप किसके लिए बना रहे हैं, किसको आप भेजेंगे? तो I told them कि मुझे शौक है, मैं बना रहा हूँ, and I will see, just किसको शेयर कर दूंगा. Then they advised me to share it on LinkedIn, and I shared it on LinkedIn. I got about 40,000 views of that, appreciation comments. Then after 2 or 3 months I improved the diagram, and then again shared, then again same response I got. So this really, it encouraged me, and now I am working on a power market regulations infographics, but I am not getting time, so it is getting delayed, but nevertheless I have the person. So really this thanks for appreciation. Now I will take this question, this very pertinent question, that TSO and ISO model. I will, why this power grid or POSOCO was separated from power grid. So let us start with before that also. So you know that previous to power grid, all this control center, regional control center was under CEA, Central Electricity Authority, and this control center, which is NRLDC, RLDC, they were known as REBs. So NREB, Northern Electricity Board, and Northern Regional Electricity Board. So like there were 5 control centers who were managing the grid. Again, this was not a, CA was not a commercial organization, it is only dependent on the budgetary support, and once you are on budgetary support, you have many limitations, We have many limitations of budget also. So government of India, and there was a consultant, one ECC consultant, they recommended that to grow the Indian power sector, it should be, this all control centers should be under the commercial mechanism, commercial. So they transferred this to Power Grid, because Power Grid was a transmission operator at that time. So they transfer everything to Power Grid, and then there is many high growth of the control centers. So all the SCADA system, all the tools were upgraded, and state of the art SCADA system was created, and there was many new innovations on this. So this was a TSO model. So in the world we have two model operating the grid. In the TSO model, I will take 2 minutes because I am alone and somebody has came. Just excuse me for 2 minutes only.
Meanwhile, if somebody else has any questions with respect to the presentation, they can ask or discuss.
Do we have any more questions from the delegates?
Sir, good afternoon, sir. This is Dipti here. Sir, actually, sir told that the electricity, that market, that trading exchanges, they should grow and it should become 40%. So, but that market price is not certain. So, it depends upon the some factors which determines the price. Whether it will be beneficial for the consumers if you don't have long-term PPA and will get buying from the exchanges.
Okay, all right. So I think Deepti ji, some studies have to be done. Actually, what will be the impact of this liberalization, and what will be the impact of merchant power plants, and more when the power market becomes more deep. So maybe we have to review some studies or do some studies, and then we can identify exactly what will be the benefit to the consumers. Sir, Mr. P.K. Agarwal has also joined us. So, sir, please continue.
Yeah, so there are two models of grid operation in the world. One is TSO and the other is ISO. So TSO is a transmission system organization or transmission system operator. So the company which own the transmission assets also operate the grid. So to start with, Government of India transferred control centers to power sector, to Power Grid, and that time there was generally very nil participation of private participants in the transmission sector. So most of the transmission line was of Power Grid owned only. But slowly this privatization of private participation started in transmission sector also. Tata, Reliance, JP, many came. Then it was felt, and it was also that ISO model will be more better now, because when Power Grid or TSO is operating the grid also, there are many decisions being taken by the grid operator which may benefit to the parent company. Simply see, like getting the shutdown. But simple, so I will not allow shutdown to private company. I will allow shutdown to first. I will give the preference to my parent company. So when private players are coming, they need level playing field. So Government of India separated POSOCO. So now POSOCO was a new company. So first they created a subsidiary of POSOCO, a subsidiary of Power Grid. So POSOCO in 2009 was a subsidiary of Power Grid, and it was having separate balance sheet, separate board also, but definitely it was being controlled by Power Grid only. And then 2017 it is separated from Power Grid. Now it becomes an independent system operator. So if you are opening the sector for private participation, you have to independent from any influence. So that's why POSOCO was separated from power sector. So this was the first answer of first question. Now second, CTU, Central Transmission Utility. Again, central work of Central Transmission Utility is to coordinate the development of transmission network in India. So now again, because if you have some private player, private participant, and you have your parent company, so there are chances that CTU might not remain independent. So that was the thoughts when there was many discussions. In the last 2-3 years, there are many discussions that POSOCO or CTU should be the same company or there will be separate company. So they have created a separate company for CTU because CTU job is statutory in nature. So statutory, like POSOCO job is also statutory in nature. So statutory and commercial, I think, cannot become a single company. So that's why CTU is also separated from. So I hope that it might have clarified why separation took place.
So these powers of CTU can as well be given to POSOCO. When we were discussing about POSOCO earlier, whenever there were discussion, I also used to say that POSOCO, all the powers of CTU, statutory powers should be, because the issue is in law, regulatory functions cannot be privatized. So you cannot privatize High Court or Electricity Regulatory Commission or National Road Dispatch. They are semi-regulators. You cannot. So you always have to have it is 100% government owned company or a government authority actually. So in case there is a thought that CTU should statutory functions of CTU, what is the requirement of a third company actually? Maybe in this transfer scheme, it could have gone directly, because there will be no, what I assume, there will be no conflict of interest between CTU and POSOCO actually. And PGCIL can then be privatized or whatever they want to do it.
So there was flip-flop on the decisions.
Okay.
One time when I was in POSOCO, we started making preparation for welcoming CTU.
Okay.
But it depends upon the government. They are thinking, they might be thinking correct also, because there are many factors other than what you are telling. So, but finally, they have created a separate company. So,
okay, all right.
Many discussion, many meetings were there, and they flip flop. Then one that it should come through POSOCO, because what we were feeling that there is already established companies there. Because I have seen this, the new company, there many problems comes, and everything is to be created from the scratch. Because when we separated from Power Grid, we have to create a complete corporate center from the scratch, and it takes so much cost and efforts also. So that might have been the wise decision to merge CTU with POSOCO, but anyhow they have taken decisions, so there might be some valid reasons for that.
Absolutely. As I said, one small question. What do you see the future of PGCIL? Like, do you think that now it is the time after 1st April this investment process will start, or what is the future of PGCIL now?
Transmission business is everywhere as a monopoly business.
Correct.
Because it is only sharing. You cannot create, as I in my talk I also tell that you cannot create two transmission lines parallelly, one for me and one for other. And yes, it is around the
natural monopoly. Natural monopoly, sir.
Yeah, it is natural monopoly, and it is shared assets only.
Shared.
If sharing only, then you have the economy of sharing. Otherwise, there will not be economy. So, and Power Grid own at least 80 or 90% assets are owned by Power Grid. So I think Power Grid will remain there, because they have assured returns. 15.5% ROE they are getting, and 15.5% ROE is not less.
Correct.
If you see the competition in market, it is very high. It is only, market is getting only 8 to 10 or 9%, 10% ROE.
Absolutely.
So in my view, this Power Grid will always be in beneficial stage.
All right, sir. So Shraddha, you can, if anybody has anything and everything they want to discuss with Shri P.K. Agarwal ji is there. He has spent more than 4 decades in power sector. So if you have any general question with respect to technical aspects or regulatory aspects, please feel free to ask questions.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Ripunjay Bhia from Commercial Department of Northeastern Electric Power Corporation. So, what you have spoken out that the PPA percentage will be reduced, and slowly it will be whole power business will be market oriented. But thing is that already one of our colleague has already spoken that now market price, when you have to determine by market price is fluctuating. It is like yesterday it was average was 5.46 rupees in the air market, and almost peak 2 to 3 3-4 bucks it was more than 8 rupees. It is of 9 rupees. So don't you feel that it will be difficult for the discoms, or it will be at the same time it will load it to the customer finally if it is like this? And another thing is now discoms. I am in a commercial department. I know NIPCO. I know how difficult it is to getting the money from the beneficiaries. So still today, today that regulation of Meghalaya is going on. We regulate power to Meghalaya because of huge outstanding dues, around 500 crores. Yesterday they have paid around 127 crores. So don't you think that discoms now their flexibility or it is more helpful for the discom to go PPA mode only, because they get time, and sometimes they can maneuver some can extend some few days for the sake of the business generating company. Also used to give few days, although there is a very stringent from the Ministry of Powers. What is your opinion in this?
Before answering this question, just I will tell my thought. यदि घर में आपने अपने बेटे को बिगाड़ना है तो उसको फुल प्रोटेक्शन दे दीजिए, जितना पैसा मांगता है उतना दे दीजिए उसको कुछ काम के लिए मना मत करिए, नहीं पड़ता है छोड़ दीजिए, तो क्या होगा, ऑलरेडी वो बिल्कुल बिगड़ जाएगा. ओके, व्हाट वी हैव डन फॉर आवर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कंपनी, दिस वी हैव डन.
Yes.
Because every time now 86,000 crore का बकाया है डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कंपनी पे, प्राइवेट कंपनीज का.
बिल्कुल सर.
And Government of India, Ministry of Power, I came with a payment security mechanism, and we have to create a software for that, and within I think 15 days or 21 month we started doing that. Even
exactly,
then,
during August.
Yeah, even then it was not because inefficiency इतनी ज़्यादा हमारे अंदर आ गई है that we are not willing to this. Because when you are participating in the market, you participate in stock market, यदि आप efficiency नहीं रखेंगे अपनी, if you are not doing the homework, you will make a loss on this stock market. So similarly, when market comes, you are no more protected. Now you have to sustain on your own, and you have to work for that. Work means first demand forecast. So since last 3 years, we are making all the efforts, and at every forums we are doing that. Do your demand forecast accurately. लोग ये तो कहते हैं कि डीएसएम मैकेनिज्म आ गया है और इससे हमारा खर्चा बढ़ गया है, इतना सारा हमको डीएसएम में देना पड़ रहा है. Why in DSM? Because we are not planning accurately or better. We are not planning efficiently. I think I can efficiently. If you are not you are not forecasting your demand, which should be accurate, which should be efficient, then how you will manage your portfolio. So managing portfolio, forecasting demand, all this comes when market comes. And the market favors to the participants which are doing their homework, which are more efficient. तो efficiency ही ऐसे ही आएगी. इसलिए markets अब now this what is the sense of PPAs? I am openly telling this, like NTPC Kudgi. Its power cost I think is 4 or 5, 4.5 or 5 rupees. It is variable cost only. Then you have fixed cost also. so that they have made a plant and it is not being scheduled because of high cost, because the low cost is available. If your power is available at 4 or 5 rupees from power exchange, then why state will take power from higher cost plant? But even if they are not drawing from that power plant, they have to pay the fixed cost because they have married with that power plant for 25 years at least. So this is again burden on consumers. Utility, if they are paying for some plant which is not generating at their full efficiency, they have to pay the fixed cost, and then ultimately burden will come to consumers. So with this PPAs and efficiency of operators or utilities, we are, so in my view, market will create this mechanism. But market should be transparent and free market. Free market means free from influences. So for this, market monitoring will also be there with the regulations in power market regulation 2021. Market monitoring will also happen, and this is the thing which we are lacking in India. There should be market monitoring in real time. बाहर क्या होता है, बिट्स, जितनी भी बिट्स आती हैं, जितने भी ऑफर्स आते हैं, फर्स्ट दे आर एनालाइज फॉर मार्केट पावर, देन दे गोज टू मार्केट क्लियरिंग. बट अभी इंडिया में वी आर नॉट डूइंग रियल टाइम मार्केट मॉनिटरिंग. मार्केट मॉनिटरिंग होता है, डेटा मंगाते हैं, सीआरसी डूइंग दैट, सीआरसी हैज अ मार्केट मॉनिटरिंग सेल, बट इट इज टू बी डन. सो यदि फ्री मार्केट है, ट्रांसपेरेंट मार्केट है, देन इट डेफिनेटली क्रिएट्स द एफिशिएंसी इन प्रोडक्शन एंड कंजप्शन आल्सो. सो इफ यू हैव वेस्टेज भी कम होता है, एंड दिस विल कम इफ यू वांट टू प्रोग्रेस of power sector in India. So I think I have clarified that why market should come, why PPA should go out. Yeah, Mr.
Sir, Dipti here. So just you told rightly that demand forecast has to be done rightly, otherwise it will create some burden on the company. So we often say that the demand forecast is not done correctly, for which we have to suffer loss and all that. So what are the factors we should take into account while forecasting the demand? Can you please speak, sir?
Factors are not technical, they are more administrative, because Indian power sector is operating since last 20 years and we have all the data. All utilities have all the data. So first requirement of correct market forecasting is the historical data, which is there. The second factor is the availability of weather data, and it is there. If you are not getting from IMD might be inaccurate. There are many, ISRO also doing that, and in POSOCO we have MOU. We had MOU with IMD and created a separate portal for power system of India, and it is having all the forecast. And third is the availability of softwares. So software is already available, data is available, and weather data is available. And now what we are doing, I have seen in the government-owned distribution company, they are appointing a vendor and giving everything to them. We have market forecast kariye and we will use that. They are not doing the capacity building on their own, because vendor यदि कर सकता है तो then we should give our grid operation to vendor also, private sector also. So कुछ भी they are doing forecasting and then उससे ही काम चल रहा है पूरा. I have seen in 2 or 3 control room and I went there and I learned that when I asked them discussion के through में then कि how you are doing, then they called that vendor person and he explained. So why it is like this, that we should have our own system, should have our own learning, then only correct forecast will come.
Sir, you told regarding that historical data, but usually it doesn't repeat because energy efficiency that technology is improving, so demand that is also changing. So it will be proper to take the historical data.
Historical data is needed for having the patterns. Now we are at POSOCO. We also do कि दिवाली वाले दिन how much will be the consumption, how much is the load. So with the history, we are seeing this. We are getting the pattern of, because you have historical data for 10 Diwalis. Then we can create a pattern on that, and then pattern should be again normalized with the help of weather data, with the help of uh, with the data of progress, data of development, data of GDP, because when GDP increases, the consumption increases. So इस सब डेटा को लेके उसको डिमांड फोरकास्टिंग को क्रिएट करना पड़ता है. So it is not directly related, but we have to create a models, and then models we have to fine tune, because एक मॉडल क्रिएट कर दिया है, it may not accurate. So during the use we have to fine tune our model based upon the demand, forecasted demand and actual demand. So this inaccuracy we will be getting, and then based upon that we have to tune our models. Only then this demand will come, demand forecast will, accurate demand forecast will come. And then now there are AI ML they are using, and with the help of AI they are creating many models. IIT Roorkee, IIT Delhi is doing some modeling with the help of in collaboration with the Northern Regional Low Dispatch Center. So technology is available. Only we should have the bill for using that technology for our benefits.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Yes.
नमस्ते सर, दिस इज प्रमोद बेहरा फ्रॉम एसडीबीएन सर. सर जैसे अभी आप बोल रहे थे कि पावर मार्केट रेगुलेशन के लिए 40% मतलब की बात कर रहे थे, और जो पीपीएस मोड से हट के हम रियल टाइम और एक्सचेंज में जाने के लिए. बट सर इन केस ऑफ हाइड्रो सेक्टर सर, जिसके टैरिफ ऑलरेडी बहुत ही हाई है, मतलब अप्रोक्सीमेट 6 रुपए 7 रुपए है सर टैरिफ, तो और मार्केट की एक्सचेंज की जो रेट है सर वो मतलब ठीक है अभी हाई सीजन मतलब गर्मी का मौसम है तो इस वजह से थोड़ा ज्यादा आ रहा है 530, फिर आगे थोड़ा 6-7 रुपए आ सकता है, बट ये नॉट थ्रू ऑल द डे सर. तो इस सबको सर अगर देखते हुए तो हाइड्रो सेक्टर का फ्यूचर तो सर क्या है, मतलब हाइड्रो सेक्टर के बारे में सर क्या बोलेंगे सर?
देखिए मेरा तो यही है, मार्केट में यही होता है कि जो हाई कॉस्ट प्रोडक्शन हमेशा लूज करती है, बट इट डजंट मीन दैट हाई कॉस्ट प्रोडक्शन कुछ इनोवेट नहीं कर सकती. आई हैव सीन इन दादरी थर्मल पावर प्लांट when there was some, just I visited there, and because it is a higher cost plant, and 90% share is of Delhi, and they were not scheduling this power. So what they are creating more efficient production. कोल कैसे लॉस कम हो सकता है, लाइक ऑयल सपोर्ट को हम कैसे मिनिमम कर सकते हैं. सो दैट आई वाज नॉट नोइंग दैट. आई वाज नोइंग कि एक बार इसका वेरिएबल कॉस्ट इसके फिक्स हो गया, बट एवरी मंथ दे वर ट्राइंग टू रिड्यूस द वेरिएबल कॉस्ट, एंड कभी 3 रुपए से वो 70 पैसे ले आए, बहुत काफी, एंड देन दे आर गेटिंग बेनिफिट्स फ्रॉम पावर मार्केट.
बट सर हाइड्रो सेक्टर में तो ऐसे कोई वेरिएबल कॉस्ट
ऐसे ही
है नहीं सर.
यदि प्रोडक्शन एंड कंज्यूमर्स की इफिशिएंसी तभी आएगी यदि अब आप मार्केट में compete नहीं करेंगे तो एफिशिएंसी नहीं आएगी।
नहीं बट सर हाइड्रो की जो एट प्रेजेंट भी जो रेट ऑफ चल रहा है वो भी अप्रोक्सीमेट 10 करोड़ पर मेगावाट चल रहे हैं, तो इन एनी केस भी सर मतलब जो टैरिफ है वो एट पार विद रिन्यूएबल्स तो हो नहीं सकते सर, जैसे आजकल 199 जा रहे हैं रिन्यूएबल के जो लोएस्ट कोट किया है एनटी।
Let me tell you, renewables, hydro and thermal, सबका
जी
अलग रोल है।
जी सर।
तो जिस टाइम मुझे हाइड्रो चाहिए, I have to pay the cost of hydro, है ना?
ओके
Because hydro is generally a peaking.
बिल्कुल राइट सर, राइट सर, यस सर।
During peak मुझे हाइड्रो की रिक्वायरमेंट है, then I have to pay the rate of hydro. उस समय रेट ज्यादा होगा, तो it should not be compared with the normal rate.
बट सर टिल नाउ इन इंडिया मतलब ऐसा पीक एंड ऑफ पीक आवर्स का रेट्स फॉर हाइड्रो तो डिसाइड हुआ नहीं है।
Because we are in transition, we are in transition. 12% or 14% power is being transacted in market.
जी सर।
क्या होता है कि जब वो रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आती है ना, तो हम सब ऐसे ही बोलते हैं। अभी मैं आई विल जस्ट शेयर विद यू।
जी सर।
हम ग्रिड ऑपरेटर के पैरामीटर सेट हो रहे थे, बिकॉज नाउ वी आर आल्सो रेस्पॉन्सिबल, वी हैव सम परफॉर्मेंस पैरामीटर्स from DPE, we have performance parameters from CRC, and we have to manage that parameters, otherwise our performance will go down and we will lose the incentive, and we have lose the incentive also, because sometimes we were only outstanding and sometimes we are only very good. So if we are outstanding, we are getting 100%. If we are very good, then we will get only 80%.
Okay, sir.
तो जब पैरामीटर्स इसके फिक्स करे जा रहे थे, then I had a meeting with my all subordinates and then all our head of departments, and I asked them कि what should be our parameters, and उनका क्या आंसर था कि सर हम तो केवल कोऑर्डिनेट करते हैं, बाकी सब तो रेगुलेटर्स के हाथ में है, जनरेटर्स के हाथ में है, कंज्यूमर्स के हाथ में है, तो हमारे हाथ में तो कुछ नहीं है, हम तो केवल कोऑर्डिनेट करते हैं। यदि वो जनरेट नहीं करेगा तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं? So then I told them we should not get the incentive, but then we are asking for incentive. जब सब कुछ हमारे हाथ में कुछ है ही नहीं, तो हम तो एफिशिएंसी इंक्रीज नहीं कर सकते। बट इट इज नॉट लाइक दिस। एक पॉइंट आया था फ्रीक्वेंसी मैनेजमेंट का।
जी
जनरली वी आर कैलकुलेटिंग डेली how much percentage frequency remains in the regulatory band. So regulatory band 49.5 to 5, I think 50.02 है। इसके बीच में फ्रीक्वेंसी 24 आवर्स में कितने परसेंट रही है? So I told them we should create this parameter as our performance indicator. So again they told me, साहब ये तो फ्रीक्वेंसी तुम्हारे हाथ में है नहीं। मतलब क्यों नहीं है फ्रीक्वेंसी हमारे हाथ में? If somebody is not generating in the schedule, then we should take up with them. उनसे बात करनी है, उसको ठीक करना है। पुलिस के हाथ में क्या? कुछ नहीं है पुलिस के हाथ में ना। अगर वो किसी को पकड़ता है तो कोर्ट जाना पड़ता है उसको वो किसी को ऑफिस मतलब एज पर रूल दे कैन नॉट पनिश हिम, दे कैन नॉट पनिश एनी चोर, उसको वहां जाना पड़ता है। तो उसके हाथ में भी कुछ नहीं है, तो पुलिस की परफॉर्मेंस भी नील होनी चाहिए बिल्कुल। तो ऐसे ही सबकी परफॉर्मेंस है, बट हमको उसको निकालना है कि हम किस तरह परफॉर्म कर सकते हैं। सो दिस सेम थिंग इज होल्ड्स गुड फॉर एवरी प्लांट। अब बिकॉज प्लांट पहले एक प्रोटेक्टेड सिस्टम के रूप में आए हुए हैं, सो दैट इट बिकमिंग डिफिकल्ट टू उसको चेंज करने में डिफिकल्ट हो रहा है। अब इफ यू स्टडी द अमेरिकन पैटर्न, एवरीथिंग इज कॉमर्शियलाइज, नो प्रोटेक्शन बिल्कुल है ही नहीं। सो आई एम नॉट टेलिंग दैट वी शुड गो टू कॉपी पेस्ट वे ऑफ अमेरिकन सिस्टम, बट वी शुड प्रोग्रेस टू सम मार्केट सिस्टम विच इज सुटेबल फॉर अस। तो सुटेबिलिटी के लिए वही मैं कह रहा था कि we should have PPA also, but we should increase the market share also.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And again, once again, there is a my course mate has already talked about the hydro project. Yes, it is very difficult to construct a hydro project. Lot of problems. You have already heard about NHPC's Swansea project. It has not yet been completed, and what unrest is going on. So this hydro project will definitely have a problem, and the cost of the generation is always high from last few years. If we see, it is almost more than 6 rupees, as my coachmate has already told you. So thing is that okay, the government is coming up with the new hydro policy. They have almost this. There's a saying that the renewable purchase obligation has for hydro projects, hydro power will be there, and now they have almost fixed, not yet confirmed, but they have discussed that 5 rupees 50 paisa will be the cost. But this is only from the 1st April 2019. But prior to those 1st April 2019, those projects which were being commissioned, they will definitely face big problem, big challenges when this market oriented, if we go for the market oriented power business. So being a resource person, I definitely request you to take up this matter, because government is telling that we have to reduce carbon emission, and solar is not a complete solution. There are so many things are there. Still, it is in the developing stage, and hydro project is only can give the best addition in the power sector. So my request will be there, sir. You are in the resource committee of and other things. So when this matter comes up, you definitely give a view about the power sectors which are not constructed prior to this 1/4/2019.
Let me share one thing with you that whenever we plan or when government plan, because I have attended so many meetings, all the persons in the administration, they know all the problems of that, because like in ministry, you have separate department for hydro, separate department for thermal, and every joint secretary, every secretary is protecting the interest of their own system. So everything is discussed in old plant, new plant, and problem with hydro, problem with hydrology, everything discussed, but resources are limited and government has a roadmap. तो यदि आप मार्केट में नहीं जाएंगे, then you will not have investment in power sector. So why this payment security mechanism started? Because we are getting very cheap fund from outside, which is generally called pension fund, and it is available only for 1 rupee, 2 rupees or 2.5 rupees interest rate. I am telling yearly, not daily. And these investments are coming to India, and then we are progressing on that. Now that investment is stuck up with the bakaya on distribution company, foreign company or foreign investors started withdrawing their fund. So government has a problem with this. Generally, people tell me government is against the government, against the state-owned distribution company. But because I have seen from inside, they are not opposed, but there are many problems with this. So when we are deciding anything with the hydro with any possible policy, like hydro power what it called obligation, hydro obligations, decisions are optimized with many constraints. So you are right that you are, because you belongs to a hydro project, you have visibility of that hydro project only, and you definitely want to protect the interest of hydro project. But think of the persons who are making policies. They have to protect the interest of all. That's why these different, there may be some benefit also, there may be some loss also.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. It was very useful. Yeah. Ripunjay and Pramod Behraji, I see a bright and very bright future for the hydro sector. There are several reasons for that, actually. And when I discuss, with EDs, executive directors and directors, and they have such brilliant and innovative ideas for hydro sector, well, I'm so happy to see that. One or two things just to conclude, I will like to share. One of the EDs told me that हाइड्रो सेक्टर जो 10 करोड़ रुपए पर मेगावाट प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है, उसकी कॉस्ट सोलर से भी कम आ सकती है। उसका रीजन ये है कि इनके भाई सी व्हाट हैपेंस कि इरिगेशन भी एक ऑब्जेक्टिव होता है, डैम कंस्ट्रक्शन भी ऑब्जेक्टिव होता है, वाटर मैनेजमेंट भी ऑब्जेक्टिव होता है। अगर ये रिस्पेक्टिव डिपार्टमेंट्स को दे दिए जाए, फॉर एग्जांपल नीपको इज देयर एंड एसजेवीएन इज देयर एंड द स्टेट इरिगेशन डिपार्टमेंट बिल्ड्स द डैम, ऑल राइट, स्टेट टूरिज्म डिपार्टमेंट बिल्ड्स द रोड्स, only the hydropower project, electricity producing entity has to be built by you. Suddenly you see what is the cost actually. It will be equal to solar actually. So you are doing more social work as of now. Hydropower is doing tremendous work for the society.